Imagine the morning of Eid al-Adha. The streets are alive, children in new clothes are running around excitedly, and in almost every neighborhood you hear the sound of takbir. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar walillahil hamd. In the middle of all this joy, men are leading cows and sheep, women are preparing the kitchen, and messages are flying on WhatsApp about shares, payments, and timings. Qurbani Day has arrived once again. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, do we really understand what we are doing? Is Qurbani just a cultural habit that our parents handed down to us? Or is it a deep act of worship that connects directly to the Quran and the teachings of our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him? Many of us know that we must sacrifice an animal, distribute the meat, and take some home. Yet if someone asked, why exactly is Qurbani so important? What does Allah actually say about it? What are the real rules in Quran and Hadith? We might hesitate or answer with half-knowledge and guesses. This documentary is for that hesitation, for that confusion, and for that desire inside your heart to worship Allah not just with action, but with understanding. Because when you know the significance of Qurbani, every drop of effort, every rupee you spend, and every piece of meat you give in charity carries a different weight in your scales of deeds. To understand Qurbani, we have to go back, far back, to a silent desert, a father, a son, and a dream. In the Quran, in Surah As-Safat, Allah tells us the story of Ibrahim, peace be upon him, a man who had been tested again and again. He left his homeland for the sake of Allah. He was thrown into a fire, but Allah made it cool. He was given a child at an old age, when hope normally dies in the hearts of people. That child was Ismail, peace be upon him, the joy of his eyes. Then came the greatest test. Ibrahim saw in a dream that he was slaughtering his own beloved son. For any ordinary person, such a dream would be a nightmare to forget. But for a prophet, a dream is revelation. It is a command from the Lord of the worlds. Imagine the struggle inside his heart. On one side, the pure love of a father. On the other side, the pure obedience of a servant to his master. The Quran shows us this moment in powerful words. Ibrahim turns to his young son and says, "O my dear son, indeed I have seen in a dream that I must sacrifice you, so consider what you think." And the response of Ismail is one of the greatest sentences of submission ever spoken by a human being. "O my dear father, do as you are commanded. You will find me, if Allah wills, among the patient." No arguments, no rebellion, no running away. Only trust in Allah together. Father and son walk together to the place of sacrifice. Ibrahim lays his son down. He turns his face away so that his love does not hold him back from carrying out the command. The knife is in his hand, and his heart is in the hands of Allah. Then, at that precise moment, when intention and action have both reached their peak, the order comes from above. "O Ibrahim, you have fulfilled the vision." Allah ransoms Ismail with a magnificent ram, and human sacrifice is replaced with a ritual of mercy and symbolism that will remain until the day of judgment. This is the root of Qurbani. It is not a bloody ritual meant to please a hungry God. Allah is free of all needs. In Surah Al-Hajj, he says clearly that neither the meat nor the blood of these animals reaches him. But what reaches him is your taqwa, your consciousness, your sincerity, your willingness to put his command above your desires. The animal on the ground is a mirror of the nafs within you. Just as its neck is placed before the knife, your ego, your pride, and your love of this world must be placed before the command of Allah. When we stand on Eid morning and say Allahu Akbar, while the animal is being sacrificed, we are really saying, "O Allah, you are greater than my wealth, greater than my attachments, greater than my comfort, greater than my own self." The physical act is simple, a cut, some blood, a distribution of meat. The spiritual act is immense. You are renewing the covenant of Ibrahim in your own life. You are telling Allah, "Whatever you ask from me, I am ready to give, even if it is something I love." This is why Qurbani has such a central place in Islamic practice. It is tied directly to Hajj, to the days of Dhul Hijjah, to the biggest gatherings of worship on earth. It revives the memory of Ibrahim and Ismail every single year, in every land where Muslims live. From the poorest village where one goat feeds dozens of hungry people, to the richest cities where families sponsor entire herds to be distributed around the world, the spirit is the same. Sacrifice for the sake of Allah and share His blessings with His creation. Yet with all this importance, many Muslims still ask, is Qurbani really necessary or just recommended? Who exactly has to do it? What kind of animal is allowed? What are the conditions for it to be accepted? Can I just give money to the poor instead? Or is the sacrifice itself required? These are not small questions. They decide whether your worship is complete or incomplete, whether your effort hits the target or misses it. In the next section, we move from this powerful story into clear, practical rules of Qurbani from Quran and Hadith, explained carefully. Now that we feel the story of Ibrahim and Ismail in our hearts, we turn to the practical side, the detailed rules of Qurbani itself. Because real worship in Islam is not blind action, it is action guided by knowledge, by Quran, by authentic Sunnah, and by understanding of purpose. Sabesi Peli, who is Qurbani actually wajib or strongly compulsory upon, and for whom is it just a recommended Sunnah, something beautiful but optional. In the Hanafi school, Qurbani is considered wajib on every Muslim who is adult, saying, 7 shares for 7 people. Each partner must make their niyah for Qurbani, not for a kikah, not for a feast, because mixing intentions can cause confusion in whether worship is valid. Age matters. The Prophet, peace be upon him, instructed animals should reach age, so that they are strong, healthy, and provide meat to community proper. Generally, a goat or sheep should be 1 year old, a cow or buffalo 2 years, and a camel 5, though variations exist between jurists. Equally important is that the animal must be free from defects. The Prophet, peace be upon him, forbade offering animals that are sick or deformed. In one hadith, he mentioned 4 that are not acceptable: an animal one-eyed, sick, lame, or so skinny that it has no marrow left. Scholars extend this to similar defects, like animals missing a portion of an ear, animals without teeth to graze, or animals born without limbs proper. The wisdom is clear. Allah does not want us to offer something broken or unwanted in His name. He deserves the best we can afford.
Jaise hum apne mahmaan kalai akchahana nikal tahain. Waise hai Allah kalai ibadat main sabse achi chespes karna humain shobha deta.
Alongside these external conditions, the inner condition of niyah is everything. Without sincere intention for Allah alone, the most expensive animal becomes only ordinary meat. Before the knife is raised, the tongue and heart should have said, or allowed, that this sacrifice is for Allah, following the Sunnah of Messenger. The takbir is recited, Bismillahi Allahu Akbar, and in that moment the believer is supposed to let go, to surrender internally, not perform slaughter mechanically. Interestingly, the Quran reminds us that taqwa reaches Allah, not blood and meat, yet those verses also command us pray and sacrifice for Him directly. So we cannot say, I will ignore slaughter and give money, because the ibadah of these days is tied to reviving Ibrahim's sacrifice in practice. Yes, charity of money or food besides Qurbani is excellent, especially in poverty-stricken areas, but it comes after, not instead of, the established ritual. In time, many organizations facilitate Qurbani on your behalf in countries. This is permissible as long as trustworthy people oversee the slaughter within the days. Still, whenever possible, being physically present, watching, feeling, and making dua at the time of sacrifice connects your heart deeply to the legacy of Ibrahim. So we have explored who must do Qurbani, when it done, and what kind of animals are valid, but now how the meat shared matters. The Sunnah recommendation is to divide it into 3 portions, 1 for your household, 1 for relatives and friends, and 1 for poor and needy. This ensures that you taste Allah's blessing yourself, you strengthen family ties, and you extend the joy of Eid to those who go without often. In some places, people give everything away because their fridge is already full year-round, while in poorer areas, families may keep more to survive. Both patterns be acceptable, depending on need, as long as the spirit of sharing is and the poor are not forgotten while we celebrate happily. Notice the contrast. Qurbani is both strict and flexible, firm in its basic rules yet wide in how mercy, generosity, and custom can shape details. In the next section, we will look deeper at the spiritual wisdom behind these rulings, and how following them carefully could transform your Eid experience. Behind every rule of Qurbani lies a deeper wisdom, a balance between outward obedience and inner purification of the heart. That is why some rulings seem very precise on small matters, yet they shape our mindset in powerful, almost invisible ways. One famous example is the instruction for a person who intends to offer Qurbani not to cut their nails or hair from the beginning of Dhul Hijjah until their animal is slaughtered. This comes from an authentic hadith where the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, compared the sacrificer to the pilgrim in some aspects. The meaning is not that cutting hair is haram normally, but that in these special days you live with a sense of Ihram-like focus.
Hakadam pi yadra ke ebe mein Qurbani ke irada raktahun, mea hadin, halam ha ella ke li kashai.
Another key rule many people overlook is about not selling any part of the Qurbani animal for profit, including the skin, head, or offal. The meat, skin, and byproducts can be used, can be gifted, can even be given to a poor butcher as charity but not treated as business. Paying the butcher for his work is allowed, but paying him with a share that is his wage cut from the Qurbani meat is against the sunnah. The sacrifice is a pure act of worship, so every part connected to it must stay clean from commercial intention and exploitation. As for the meat itself, some people ask whether it must be eaten fresh only, or if it can be frozen and stored for months. Early on, the Prophet, peace be upon him, discouraged long-term storage because Medina had many needy people, but later he allowed it completely when the situation improved. From this, scholars say it is perfectly halal to keep Qurbani meat for your family, even for weeks, as long as you have not neglected the poor while filling your freezer. Another area of confusion is Qurbani on behalf of the deceased. Can you slaughter for your parents who passed away, or for a relative who loved Eid so much? The basic principle is that Qurbani is prescribed for the living, but it is also allowed to include the reward of a voluntary sacrifice as a gift for those who have died. Some families do one extra animal purely as sadaqah for the deceased, while others simply make dua that Allah share the reward of their own Qurbani with their loved ones. In both cases, the focus should be on naya and humility, not on announcing loudly, not on turning Qurbani into a competition of who did more names and more animals. Real honor on that. Day is not the size of your bull, but the softness of your heart, not the price of your camel, but the sincerity of your intention. When that balance is understood, Qurbani becomes not a burden of rules but a doorway to real closeness with Allah.